Namaskar, good evening viewers. You're watching the news on Sansad TV. I'm Rajiv Kumar Singh. The next half an hour gives me an opportunity to update you with the latest news from the national and international arena. Let's begin with the top 5 headlines this Tuesday evening. Election campaign concludes for the first round of Gujarat Assembly polls, voting for 89 seats on 1st December. Campaigning intensifies for the second phase. India's growth linked to the development of Indian technology. External Affairs Minister addresses 7th Global Technology Summit, says technology at the heart of geopolitics today. Ulamas play a crucial role in dealing with extremism, says National Security Advisor Ajit Doval at an interfaith harmony event in Delhi. Stresses religion should not be misused for narrow ends. RBI to launch digital Rupee pilot project on 1st of December in Mumbai, New Delhi, Bengaluru and Bhubaneswar, to be expanded soon to other cities. Vistara to be merged with Air India. Tata Sons and Singapore Airlines announced deal SIA to invest rupees 2,058.5 crore in Air India. A quick look now at some important flash news. National Security Advisor Ajit Doval meets Minister of Armed Forces of France, Sébastien Lecornu, in New Delhi. Discusses regional, bilateral and global security-related issues. Addressing International Gita Seminar, President Draupadi Murmu calls upon everyone to imbibe knowledge of Srimad Bhagavad Gita in life. INB Minister Anurag Thakur calls upon media to put accuracy ahead of speed. Inaugurates 59th Asia-Pacific Broadcasting Union General Assembly. World's first intranasal vaccine, Incovac, gets Drugs Controller General of India approval for COVID booster doses. Kerala High Court upholds Governor Arif Muhammad Khan's order appointing Caesar Thomas as VC in charge of the Kerala Technological University. Drug from AstraZeneca, India says it has received approval from the country's drug regulator to market anti-diabetes medication dapagliflozin. No monks left at a Buddhist temple in central Thailand after all 4 failed drug tests sent to health clinic for rehab. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak reiterates UK's commitment to a free trade agreement with India, says Indo-Pacific region to deliver over half of global growth by 2050. Former ISI Chief General Asim Munir takes charge as Pakistan's 17th Chief of Army Staff. And 3 Palestinian men killed by Israeli forces in 2 separate incidents in the West Bank, says Palestinian officials. And time now to look at all the latest from the poll-bound state of Gujarat. Campaigning for the first phase of Gujarat Assembly elections concluded this evening. 89 out of a total 182 seats across 19 districts of Gujarat will go to polls on 1st of December. All necessary arrangements for polling stations have been made to ensure free and fair elections. EVM and VVPAT to be used during polling are also ready. The Commission has made special arrangements for women and differently abled voters during elections. Many centres have been set up where the entire system of voting will be handled by women employees. 788 candidates, including 70 women, are in the fray in the first phase of the state assembly elections. 25,430 polling stations have been set up for voting. Maximum 44 candidates are contesting from the Limbayat seat. Voting for the remaining 93 seats will be held on December 5th. Counting of votes will be done on December 8th along with Himachal Pradesh. Sansad TV correspondent Akhilesh Suman spoke to Surat's election officer and commissioner of police about the election preparations. Let us listen in.
सूरत में 16 विधानसभाएं हैं। 16 विधानसभाओं में मिलके लगभग हमारे पास 47,50,000 से भी ज़्यादा वोटर्स हैं और उनके वोटर लिस्ट एनरोलमेंट और इलेक्टोरल रोल को अपडेट करने में हमने पिछले एक साल में काफ़ी मेहनत की है। जो नए युवा वोटर्स हैं जो 1 अक्टूबर 2022 तक 18 साल पूरे कर चुके हैं उनको भी हमने एनरोल करने की काफ़ी कोशिश की है और हमको उसमें सफलता भी मिली है। हमने अभी एक्सटेंसिव अवसर की एक्टिविटी चला रहे हैं, स्वीप की एक्टिविटी, कि आप बाकायदा आपका नाम ऑनलाइन भी चेक कर सकते हैं। nvsp.in की वेबसाइट भी है। इलेक्शन कमीशन के 2 ऐप्स भी है, एक एंड्रॉयड बेस्ड ऐप है, एक iOS बेस्ड ऐप है। तो मेरी सभी से यही विनती रहेगी कि आप आपका नाम पहले चेक करवा लें कि वोटर लिस्ट में है कि नहीं, और फिर दूसरी चीज़ आप ये चेक करवा लें कि आपको कौन से पोलिंग स्टेशन लोकेशन पे जाना है।
चुनाव के लिए 80 सेंट्रल आर्म्ड पुलिस फोर्सेस की कंपनीज भी हमारे पास हैं, जो फ्लाइंग स्क्वाड्स हैं वो भी काम कर रही हैं, स्टैटिक सर्वेलेंस टीम्स भी काम कर रही हैं, हमारी QRTs भी हैं, सेक्टर मोबाइल्स भी हैं। वी आर कॉन्फिडेंट, लॉ एंड ऑर्डर पूरी तरह से कंट्रोल में है, निष्पक्ष और एकदम शांतिपूर्ण मतदान सूरत में होगा, हमें पूरा विश्वास है।
Union Home Minister Amit Shah campaigned in Dahod, Khera and Ahmedabad on the final day of campaigning ahead of the first phase of polling in Gujarat. He said that the enthusiasm of people showed that the entire state will vote BJP to power again. BJP National President JP Nadda addressed 2 public rallies in Vadodara and 1 in Dahod. He highlighted the developmental work carried out by the BJP government in the state. Gujarat Chief Minister Bhupendra Patel today held a roadshow in Becharaji Vidhan Sabha constituency of Mehsana district. He appealed to the people to vote for BJP. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath targeted the opposition while addressing a public meeting in Vadodara today. He also held a roadshow in Godhra. Senior Aam Aadmi Party leader and Punjab Chief Minister Bhagwant Mann held roadshows in many areas of the state. Moving on, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar has said the rise of India was deeply linked with the rise of Indian technology. Speaking at the 7th edition of Global Technology Summit in Delhi, Jaishankar said that technology is at the heart of geopolitics today and one cannot remain agnostic about technology in current times. He stressed that data is the new oil and strong political connotations are inbuilt into technology. The 3-day summit in India's annual flagship event in geotechnology and is co-hosted by the Ministry of External Affairs and Carnegie India. The theme for this year's summit is Geopolitics of Technology.
It's a false argument to present it as, are you for globalization or against globalization? I don't think today anybody can be against it because it's such a deep reality. I think the right argument is, are you for collaborative globalization or are you for a globalization model which allows domination by a few players? And so how flat or in a sense and how broad is your globalization model? I think that to my mind is the real debate, and that debate is going to be very much driven by technology.
National Security Advisor Ajit Doval said that cross-border and ISIS-inspired terrorism continue to pose a threat. He said this in his opening address at Dialogue on the Role of Ulama in Fostering a Culture of Interfaith Peace and Social Harmony in India and Indonesia. Underlining that both India and Indonesia have been victims of terrorism and separatism, Doval stressed on need to work together. He said that Ulama play a key role in educating the people on the original, tolerant and moderate principles of Islam and countering extremism with progressive ideas. Doval also said that in a democracy, there is no place for hate speech, prejudice, propaganda, demonization, violence, conflict and misuse of religion for narrow ends.
As you all are aware, both our countries have been victims of terrorism and separatism. While we have overcome the challenges to a considerable extent, the phenomenon of cross-border terrorism and ISIS-inspired terrorism continues to pose a threat. The aim of today's discussions is to bring together Indian and Indonesian ulama and scholars who can take forward our cooperation in promoting tolerance, harmony, and peaceful cooperation.
Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar is on a tour of Tripura and West Bengal. In Agartala, Vice President Dhankar inaugurated an exhibition on historical and cultural heritage of Tripura at Maharaja Bir Bikram College. Addressing the gathering at the college, the Vice President said that no country in the world is able to match the pace of India's progress. He asserted that India's voice is being heard with respect all over the world. Describing Tripura as a land of vibrant culture and glorious history, he said that God has gifted Tripura with immense natural beauty. The Vice President also appealed to the youth and students to follow the fundamental duties mentioned in the Constitution.
No country in the world is matching progress of India. Just imagine, where are we now? In the entire world, our voice is heard with respect. In the entire world, the fact that we are an Indian, we have a different stature.
The Reserve Bank of India will launch the first pilot for retail digital rupee on 1st of December in Mumbai, New Delhi, Bengaluru and Bhubaneswar. The testing will be later expanded to 9 more cities in the initial phase. The announcement comes a month after the RBI had started a pilot in the digital rupee wholesale segment on 1st of November. A statement by the RBI said that the first phase of retail digital rupee will begin with 4 banks: State Bank of India, ICICI Bank, Yes Bank and IDFC First Bank in 4 cities. The digital rupee will be in the form of a digital token that represents legal tender. In a major consolidation in the Indian aviation space, Vistara will soon be merged with Air India. Tata Group and Singapore Airlines announced today. Tata Group owns a 51% stake in Vistara and the remaining 49% shareholding is with Singapore Airlines. As part of the deal, Singapore Airlines will also invest rupees 2,058.5 crore in Air India. This would give SIA a 25.1% stake in an enlarged Air India group. SIA and Tata aim to complete the merger by March 2024. And now a look at some more news from across the nation. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar met Indonesia's Coordinating Minister for Political, Legal, Human Rights and Security Affairs, Muhammad Mahfud, in New Delhi today. Issues related to G20, Myanmar and bilateral cooperation were discussed between the two sides. Mr. Mahfud is in Delhi on the invitation of National Security Advisor Ajit Doval. The Election Commission will hear the symbol dispute between the warring factions of Shiva Sena led by Uddhav Thackeray and Eknath Shinde on December 12th. The poll panel has also directed both the groups to submit any further statement or documents by 5 p.m. December 9th. The government has exempted the Indian Space Research Organization from taking its approval for manufacturing, storage, use and transportation of solid propellant for space rockets to promote ease of doing business. Earlier, ISRO was required to take a license from the Petroleum and Explosives Safety Organizations, PESO, an arm of the Department of Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade. According to Union Health Ministry, India reported 215 new coronavirus infections and one COVID-related death in the last 24 hours across the country, which is the lowest number since April 2020. While the number of patients under treatment has come down to 4,982, the one new fatality has been reported from Delhi. The Border Security Force has shot down another drone that entered from Pakistan in Punjab's Amritsar district just 2 days after a similar incident was reported in the region. The drone is suspected to be carrying narcotics and the material found in it is being examined. Notably, there has been an increase in sneaking of Pakistani drones into Indian territory this year as compared to 2021, with 230 such incidents reported as against 104 in 2021. And time now for a short break in the bulletin. More news coming up, Russia-Ukraine war front and all other updates from the world of sports. All this on the other side. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. Let's take a look now at all the latest from the Russia-Ukraine crisis. Top ministers from 7 Baltic and Nordic nations visited Kiev on Monday and pledged electric generators, warm clothes and food for the war-torn nation. This was the largest delegation to visit Ukraine since Russia launched its full-scale war in February. The delegation included the foreign ministers of Estonia, Iceland, Latvia, Lithuania, Norway, Finland and Sweden. They said the goal was to help Ukrainians cope with their coldest months of need and keep their resolve high. The ministers denounced Russia for weaponizing civilian energy security. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said that 30 settlements in Kherson region have been shelled by Russia 258 times in the past week alone. He also said that Russian army damaged the pumping station that supplied water to Mykolaiv. He also vowed to restore every object, every house, every enterprise destroyed by occupiers, adding that Ukraine will never accept orders from these comrades from Moscow. Russian President Vladimir Putin is trying to use the winter as a weapon of war against Ukraine, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said on Monday. He also cautioned that more attacks on Ukraine's power grid and infrastructure were likely. Speaking ahead of a meeting of NATO foreign ministers in Bucharest, Stoltenberg said helping Ukraine with its air defense system would be one of the main messages from the meeting. NATO foreign ministers are meeting in Bucharest on Tuesday and Wednesday with discussions focusing on Russia's war on Ukraine. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and his NATO counterparts are meeting in Romanian capital Bucharest to garner urgently needed support for Ukraine. The meeting is likely to see NATO make fresh pledges of non-lethal support to Ukraine, including fuel, generators, medical supplies, winter equipment and drone jamming devices. Blinken is also likely to announce substantial U.S. aid for Ukraine's energy grid. Individual allies may also announce fresh supplies of military equipment for Ukraine, including the air defense system that Kyiv is desperately seeking. And time now for some more news from some other parts of the globe. Hawaii's Mauna Loa, the world's largest active volcano, began erupting on Sunday for the first time since 1984, ending its longest quiet period in recorded history. Officials have warned the residents of Hawaii's Big Island to be ready to evacuate in the event of worst-case scenario.
The world's largest active volcano woke up after 38 years on Sunday, sweeping waves of glowing lava and plumes of smoky ash, following a series of earthquakes. Authorities said that the eruption of Mauna Loa wasn't immediately endangering towns, as the volcano's summit crater and vents along the volcano's northeast flank are both far from homes and communities. However, the US Geological Survey warned the nearly 2 lakh people on the Big Island that an eruption can be very dynamic and the location and advance of lava flows can change rapidly. The volcano alert level was upgraded from an advisory to a warning. Officials have told residents to be ready to evacuate if lava flows start heading towards populated areas. People have also been warned to stay away from areas close to the volcano, as the lava is shooting 100 to 200 feet into the air. Volcanic gases wafting off the vents, mainly sulfur dioxide, are also harmful. Officials are also monitoring the air quality on the Big Island. The eruption is likely to last about 1 or 2 weeks if the volcano follows historical patterns. Mauna Loa is one of the 5 volcanoes that together make up the Big Island of Hawaii. Rising 13,679 feet above the sea level, Mauna Loa is a much larger neighbor of Kilauea, which erupted in a residential neighborhood and destroyed 700 homes in 2018. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
And in a world wrap, QatarEnergy and ConocoPhillips on Tuesday signed an agreement to export liquefied natural gas to Germany for at least 15 years starting 2026. The deal is the first of its kind to Europe from Qatar's North Field expansion project. It will provide Germany with 2 million tons of LNG annually, arriving from Ras Laffan in Qatar to Germany's northern LNG terminal of Brunsbüttel. ConocoPhillips subsidiary will purchase the agreed quantities to be delivered to the German receiving terminal, which is currently under development. Since Russia's invasion of Ukraine, Europe is facing an energy crisis as Russian pipeline gas amounted for 40% of the continent's imports. With police out in force in China, protests against the government's strict anti-COVID norms witness a pause in Beijing. Shanghai, Nanjing and other cities where online calls to gather had been issued were also reportedly quiet. Earlier on Monday, about 50 students from mainland China lit candles in a show of support for those protesting in the cities. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has supported the right of Chinese people to peacefully protest and voice their views. Austria's rail workers staged a 24-hour strike on Monday, which shut down all train traffic throughout the country. The strike impacted nearly 1 million passengers and affected transport at all levels, from public transport to regional services, long-distance night trains, as well as rail freight lines. The mainline workers' union had called for a €400 pay rise for the sector's 50,000 employees. The warning strike was called after the 5th round of negotiations fell through on Sunday. Wedged between 8 countries, including the Czech Republic, Germany, Hungary, Italy and Switzerland, Austria is an important hub for European rail travel. Rescuers continued their search on Monday for 4 people still missing after a landslide hit the town of Casamicalo Terme on the Italian side of Isha. The death toll from Saturday's landslide caused by torrential rain has risen to 8, including a baby. Ecuador's former Vice President Jorge Glass was released from prison for the second time yesterday. Dozens of supporters cheered the moment Glass left the prison in the capital of Quito. The release came after a local judge approved alternative corrective measures in lieu of a custodial sentence for corruption charges. 53-year-old Glass was sentenced to 6 years in prison in 2017 after he was found guilty of receiving bribes from a Brazilian construction firm. And time for a quick look at the most interesting developments in the world of sports. Frustrated by the fickle weather, a desperate Indian team would pray for a rain-free final ODI against New Zealand in its bid to finish on an even keel in Christchurch on Wednesday. Having lost the first two matches 4-5 and 4-7, India need at least a draw to keep the 5-match hockey test series alive beyond the third match to be played tomorrow in Adelaide, Australia. Brazil progressed to the last 16 of the FIFA World Cup 2022 from Group G with a match to spare, beating Switzerland 1-0. Casemiro scored the winner for Brazil in 83rd minute. A brace from Bruno Fernandes against Uruguay helps Portugal become the third team to reach the last 16 of the FIFA World Cup 2022 after France and Brazil. In the last Group A matches, which are underway simultaneously, Ecuador is playing against Senegal and the Netherlands are taking on host Qatar. After two matches, Netherlands and Ecuador are at 4 points each and Senegal has 3 points. And with this, it's a wrap on the bulletin. Do stay tuned to Sansad TV for more news and updates round the clock. Thank you for watching. Good night.